The One Punch Man manga recently opened the door to time travel and multiversal theory, even giving us a glimpse of another Boros, part of the S-rank hero #1 Blast's galactic cadre. This new Boros helped Blast deflect the destructive power of Serious Saitama's clash with God Garo's Serious Punch, the aftermath of which left a supermassive dark hole in space. And there's various theories on that dark hole. Did Saitama and God Garo's clash wipe out an entire cluster of galaxies? Was it due to the effect of the light being removed by Blast & Company's combination subspace gate? I think it's open to interpretation, but one thing is for sure. The energy of two serious punches colliding could have easily destroyed the Earth, if not the solar system, or even the galaxy. And in the latest chapter of One Punch Man, there was for a brief second two Saitamas, and this could have dire repercussions, potentially giving us an evil Saitama. I'm gonna get into all that science coming up right after this. Today's video is sponsored by YouTube's, now with their Naruto and One Punch Man collections. These things are absolutely awesome. These are limited edition, and I absolutely love them because the quality is so high. They're made of this really nice vinyl, just awesome to the touch. They're sturdy and they just look great. I love the fact that they did these unique poses for each of the characters, and they sent me 3: Saitama, Naruto, and Genos. But they also have many other great series like Attack on Titan as well. And because they're limited edition, you know that in 20 years, these things are gonna be going for a lot of money. They even offered to make one of me specifically, and when I saw this, I just burst out laughing because they make YouTube figures of a lot of your favorite YouTubers. These little guys are gonna look absolutely great on my display shelf. I know a lot of you guys have display shelves too, and these things are perfect for it. Check out YouTube's with the link in the description down below, and get your hands on these limited edition YouTube's before they're sold out. One Punch Man's introduction of God opened the realms of dimensional theory. One Punch Man manga artist Yusuke Murata has given us hints and tidbits about this mysterious monster god's power, but dropped a major clue in One Punch Man manga, chapter 164, The Redraw. Garo was defeated by Saitama, and God approached him, speaking to Garo through either telepathic or dimensional means. As Garo lifts into the air, you can see God's monumental feet thundering down on Earth's crust. Now, Saitama, who's even able to bend the laws of reality, could not see God's feet, as God, seemingly walking through several layers of dimensional plates, as if he's a 4th or 5th dimensional being, was visible only to Garo and not even Saitama. And this is very important because we are dipping into multiversal theory, parallel dimensions, and so forth. If there's a Boros from another dimension, there could very easily be an evil Saitama from another dimension. The final battle of this entire series could take place on another planet as Saitama, Blast, and the galactic cadre all fight against God and an army of his own. At this point, it could be possible for God to bring forth a Saitama from another dimension or parallel universe that had taken God's power and was corrupted by it. And thus, the final fight of the entire series could be Saitama versus an evil Saitama. Perhaps this Saitama from another dimension does not have the full powers and capabilities that the current Saitama we know and love has. Perhaps he was midway through training when he accepted God's power, and instead of achieving this unobtainable, unbelievable strength that Saitama has through his own means, this one was granted an equal amount of power, yet through God's possession. Now, if two Saitamas were to go up against each other, it could be the end of the entire universe as we know it. It took the combination of 4 galactic cadre all working together just to simply redirect the damage from 2 serious punches colliding, because it was so catastrophic. And as we saw in the battle between Saitama and God Garo, Saitama's strength never ceases to increase if he starts battling someone that can actually handle his punches. Every punch will continue to hit harder and harder, and Saitama will soar in power level past any opponent that he comes up against. But what happens if you have 2 Saitamas going up against each other? Eventually their powers become so powerful that a single clash could obliterate the entire universe. And even if Saitama does end up winning this fight somehow, God has shown to have unreal amounts ounce of power. Garo was easily the strongest opponent that Saitama has ever fought in the entire series, taking hundreds of serious punches to the face and continuing to battle on, continuing to get stronger, but ultimately fell behind. And this Garo only had a sliver of God's power. As Blast even stated, what would have happened if he had taken the full gift of power from God? And that's still simply just an avatar. The actual God himself should have power that rivals or is even stronger than Saitama's. And I think as we get into the final arc, which will be the Galactic War against God, we'll start to see more of these avatars start to arise. Because the battle between God, Garo, and Saitama was so intense, that's going to set the preface and benchmark for an army of God avatars to come out and battle. We could see Saitama taking on a number of opponents who are equal, if not stronger, than even Garo, considering he only took a sliver of God's power. Meaning out there in the universe, God could be pulling characters from various dimensions and parallel timelines, giving them full gifts of power and assembling an entire army of mega powerful avatars for Saitama, Blast, and company to fight down. And I think one of those, a fan favorite theory, would be an evil Saitama. But that might be simply too much power. To have two Saitamas fighting each other will potentially be way too catastrophic, especially considering his growth potential, which was just revealed in the latest chapter. At this point in the story, when we get there, the S-rank heroes will be flies compared to the army of God avatars. And we haven't seen Blast's full power yet. I think the consensus is that he was holding back on Earth because he was more concerned about saving everyone. But I still feel like Blast is going to need to step up if he's going to fight evil avatars even stronger than God Garo and potentially even an evil Saitama. Perhaps the evil Saitama is so strong that even our Saitama can't destroy him, and the only option is to defeat God so that the evil Saitama will snap back to normal. We did see two Saitamas for a brief second in the latest chapter of One Punch Man, because after the battle with God Garo, and God Garo taught Saitama his ultimate martial arts, which was essentially time travel on a subatomic level, Saitama came to the past and was able to defeat Garo with a single punch before it was ever thrown. Reversal of causality. Afterwards, Saitama was sucked into his present day body and they fused into one. But for a brief moment, there was two Saitamas, and this could have some potential repercussions based on Murata's depiction of time travel mechanics. Remember now, there is a parallel universe where Saitama went on Jupiter to fight God Garo, and in that universe, there is a Blast that knows how powerful Saitama is. But in the current present day, he does not. Does Blast also know how to time travel? Will that Blast ever come back from the future and recruit Saitama for the war on God? Murata seems to have written it this way in order to extend the series quite a bit. Now that time has rewound, Blast doesn't know how strong Saitama is. Eventually, at some point, he either has to figure it out again, or he has to come from the future to recruit Saitama for the Galactic War on God. One thing's for sure, in particular with this arc, Murata has paid particular attention to time travel and multiversal theory, and this is going to open up the door for a lot of creative writing in the future. If he wants to bring in an evil Saitama, or at least one does, the actual author, I think it's entirely possible, especially now with the new physics involved. Murata and One are definitely going in on the science of the universe, especially with God Garo being able to understand all things in the universe, even including time travel. We got to see the inside of Jupiter and what the physics would be like if a serious sneeze blew off the crust of Jupiter, showing the liquid metallic core. These guys really love the science of space and physics, and I think it's very interesting and cool at the same time that they're bringing this into One Punch Man, because this leaves the door open for a lot of potential. Will we get an evil Saitama at the end of the series and see two Saitamas finally going up against each other? Will Saitama, Blast, and crew fight an army of avatars even more powerful than God Garo? Or will Saitama seriously one-shot God, and that will be the end of the series? It's gonna take us a while to find out, but now the door is opened. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. If you guys enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up. Check out YouTube's with the link in the description, and I'll see you guys on the next one.